Hello, world, and welcome to episode 18 of On the 50. Today, I was joined by my very good friend, Austin Avery. He was my first visual tech, my first choreographer at Norwalk High School, and then the Connecticut Hurricanes. We go way, way back. He is a visual master currently residing in Connecticut and has worked with such esteemed programs as Dartmouth High School, Norwalk High School, Trumbull High School, Oregon Crusaders, and Academy. Today we talked about his experience coming up through the marching arts as a black man and what that means for someone similar to him going through the marching arts. He has a very different experience than most people, having marched brass in drum corps and then becoming a percussion tech and eventually designer and director. He talks about some of his experiences working with different individuals on various levels in the marching arts and just what we can do to be more aware as we move forward in this world, trying to create a more inclusive space, hear everyone's voices, and just improve the overall environment of our activity. Austin's a great friend to me, and I have known him for super long, and I certainly would not be where I am right now if not for his mentoring. So I hope you check this out. I definitely enjoyed recording this episode with Austin. We're kind of just talking generally about what we can do, and something that comes to mind for me is you have all these DCI drum corps. If we think about like the top level, if it's just world class DCI or just drum corps in general, that's where you're like, and obviously WGI groups, just where the achievement is happening, where a lot of good teachers are, where they stay. Just this there's like an amazing educational resource. So tied up, we have these incredible DCI and WGI groups. These are not for profit groups, right? And these are meant to be specifically educational organizations. Then we have this problem with state funding, with music education in schools, specifically inner city schools, that they don't have the exposure to the arts because their resources are being used in the ways that they can. And music in general tends to slip to the bottom of the priority list. Yet, so in public school, there is clearly a massive problem with the way the arts are reaching students, whether it be in an affluent area or in an inner city, it doesn't matter. We know the arts are at the bottom of that list for the most part. And yet we have all these amazing organizations, whether it be independent world drum lines or guards or world-class drum corps or just drum corps in general. And it doesn't seem like we have much of a bridging between public schools with a lack of music education resources and then drum corps who are hyper-focused on the competitive aspect and on the season, but all throughout the year, they pretty much go to sleep other than camps. And it's I just wonder, couldn't these drum corps be doing more to enhance the lack that we are identifying in inner city schools and in public schools in general? It's just an idea.
And there's some corps that are close to inner cities, especially those Midwest corps. You got Ohio, you got Illinois, all those places, and even California. There's a lot of inner cities, tough inner cities. And you should bring just some camps or some ideas. You could bring the group there, to do some kind of thing during movements, a day or so, to be hey, we want to just do this free performance here and give back to the community, because some of those communities kind of fund those drum corps. You got so many communities out there, and we take WGI to Dayton, Ohio. We've been around Dayton. It's not the prettiest of towns, and it's and they make a lot of, they really look forward to WGI for those 2 weeks, and we should be doing more there in these places. And we're all in those areas. Most of these drum corps are, and independent worlds are in those community areas. And sometimes you have to house there too. And I love housing in those areas because the community comes out and watches. They're oh, this is cool. They oh, look at the drums. You get this big crowd. Because they're I've never seen anything like this. Mm-hmm. What is this? And it was wow, y'all don't know? Because you said, they don't have the funding. And I think I posted something on my Instagram story, like how the funding and taxes and all that stuff goes to the inner cities, but it doesn't. They just like, oh, we want to keep it at this level so the poor and the people of color stay there. And it's talking about the red line and all that stuff. I was like, wow, I kind of knew about it, but like it really broke it down of how they do that things and how they fund certain schools and give more education, more arts to certain schools than others. And it's like it's all about these, they're all worried about these test scores. It's like some kids just go to school because they want to play play an instrument or sing or something. That's what's keeping them going to school. And when they're just relying on trying to, it's like everybody's just trying to get a score. Like, are we not human beings? Are we just some animals out here that they're just using us to just keep their system going? And I'm like, oh, I'm tired of it. The system has just been wrong from the get go. And I advise some people to listen to some RTJ, some Run the Jewels right now. Run the Jewels 4. I think my favorite song right now is Just. It's basically saying, look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. And I don't care what nobody says about that, but to me and what I've grown up in, that's true. I was like, wow. I was like, they really, Pharrell Williams actually says that on the track. And I was like, and just keeps repeating it over and over again. I was like, man, this is really a deep message right here.
And I think there are possibilities for improving these situations by using the resources we have in terms of all these educators, in terms of the infrastructure that already exists in the marching arts, at least, creating an outreach program through a drum corps, utilizing your members to go to various schools and do workshops or clinics or do performances and play for the kids in the schools. Like, I think there's a lot of possibilities that would just take some creativity and wouldn't take that much money, honestly. And I think that has not been done. It hasn't been established, at least not in any consistent way, you know? And I hope that if we are misspeaking on that, specifically from like drum corps, I would love to hear from people who work in the drum corps, you know, economy, what is being done. Because from my vantage point, having worked with world-class groups, it's like we're focused on the auditions, we're focused on the competitive aspect, and it takes, that's so much work. Like, I'm not trying to say that we need to do away with being in a competitive world. Like, we all love the competition. I know you do. I'm competitive. It's really fun. And we love that. But there's 150 members in each drum corps. We can find members who want to go out into the community and improve the situation using their talents and using their resources. And it's not going to require some huge overhaul. We're not being creative. And it's like our whole activity is comprised of extremely creative people. And we do use that creativity to create our art, but we're not using it in a way to like fundamentally improve the situation for people who are essentially eliminated from the possibility of ever getting to the top level. And I think the problems we see at the very top level, we need to insert ourselves at the base point at which students are receiving education. I think that does start with schools. And I know there are like nonprofit organizations. I worked in an organization called Musicopia, teaching percussion in North Philadelphia. And it was funded all right, but did not have the infrastructure required to create consistency. We need people who are dedicated, who are consistent, who show up, and have the skills and have the knowledge, obviously. And there's so many people with that knowledge, but it's like, I honestly just think that we're not being very creative with how we use these organizations that have all of these resources.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of my problem with the activity right now. Like when the Black Lives Matter stuff came out and some groups just said, oh, I'm going to just put all lives matter, whatever. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You got to remember, in these drum corps, even the top 3, top 4, there's so much diversity. Like there's so much people of color, black, white, Spanish, gay, transgender, all those people make the drum corps, and we all come and we all get together and we decide to we're going to do this one goal and be great at it. And for this going on with the riots and all this, we should be at the forefront of this because I feel like this activity could change the world. We need to be known like we are here, and and we have all these different type of peoples and cultures, and we can work together. Why can't the world work together like this? What is the biggest idea? What is that? What are they not telling us? What are they hiding from us? Why can't we just come together like we're all human beings here? And some human beings just get treated like animals. Like I feel like sometimes like people like me, we just get treated like animals still. We get treated like we're not even human. And like for DCI, we should be at the forefront of this. Like, yes, all Black Lives Matter. FloMarch, Black Lives Matter. Everybody needs to say Black Lives Matter in this. Like, we need to take more pride in it because there's so many students that are Black or Spanish, like I said, that are in the activity and students. And I know they want to help their communities out. Like I said, we should have been at it sooner instead of later, instead of waiting on, like, and I know it's probably board of directors, like, I don't know, I don't want to get involved with this. No, you need to get involved. You need to help change the world. What's wrong with change? People are so scared of change. And I'm sorry, like 2020, people say, oh man, this is the worst year ever. I think I put it on a post earlier, like last week, like this is an awakening. Everybody needs to wake up. Everybody's just been asleep for too long. Then they look at me and my ideas like, why do you think like that? If you ever had a deep conversation, I'm like, I think this there. I think we live like this. I think something else is going on. I think they're taking money along with us. I think they're putting stuff in our food. They're doing this. Like, I like to think different like that because anything can be possible and we just don't know. And we just stay asleep and we're just so used to our day to day doing the same thing. Wake up, get up, do it over again all the time. And we're just stuck. And I'm like, we're forced to be stuck. Now we're forced to be grown. Like we're forced to be grown. And I've been forced to be grown my whole life. And now I'm on the other side. I'm like, well, good luck. Like it's gonna be a tough one these next couple of years, especially if you're so used to. We're not gonna go back to what it used to be, especially in just the society. We're not gonna go back to what it used to be. It's gonna have to change. We're demanding change right now, and if change doesn't happen, like it might get even worse. Sometimes it's going to have to get worse to get better. And people don't see that. We've been protesting for years since the civil rights and all that, and we've been peaceful protesting. Then you get mad when we want to get violent about it, but y'all been violent your whole lives towards the whole time. Like I wish there was. Like I'm breaking off from the martial arts. I just wish there was a real slave movie. Like, you know, some of the slave movies, the close I kind of watch, it's still not there, is Django Unchained. I advise everybody to watch that. Like, if you haven't seen that, it's close, but it doesn't really show the real gruesome of what slaves went through in America. And it's like, oh, that was so long ago. But if you really look at the timeline, was it really? Like, civil rights, there's people still living that went through the civil rights movement, you know? And that's crazy to say that in 2020. There's still people who were part of segregation and all. And it's been far too long. And it's like, what is the problem? What do you don't like about us? That's all. I hear questions like, but my thing is, I always want to know, like, what is it that we did? Like, what did we do to y'all? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just all we know. Like, and then, like, in our history, all we know is like we've been kind of like slaves, and it's just not. It's not right what we've been going through this time. And I said it's time for change, and I'm scared that it might be. We're trying to do it peacefully, and I don't want it to happen, but it could happen. It could be done by force, and then everything just goes out of chaos right there. You know, we don't want that, and that's why we're trying to say this peacefully, like, stop doing this to us. Stop killing us for no reason. What are we doing? We're just minding our own business. Nobody's like messing with you, not trying to take what you have. It feels like that. It's like you're scared of like us taking something away from you. And that's not what we're trying. We're just trying to all come together and be peaceful at this and trying to get this world a better place. Like, I feel sometimes like we're living in the Matrix, and it's just a simulation every day. And it's really sad to see that. I can't live like that. I can't live like doing the same thing. That's why I love going on tour. It's just different all the time. It's just something to be proud of. Like you've been somewhere, you meet new people. Like you should always be working with new people because you can't learn. Like a lot of us are masters, but so you get to be a master, you got to fail a lot, and you got to still keep be learning from other people. You got to listen to other experiences and see what they go through. Because, like, I'm not gonna understand the experiences you go through, but like I give you like consoling, like yes, like I respect that what you've been through because everybody's going through a journey, and people are so worried about the destination. And like you gotta, and like I went to that J. Cole concert, he was like, you gotta enjoy the journey. And then when you get to a certain part, you gotta look back through that journey and be like, oh my God, I went through so much. And yeah, man.
I think for the marching arts, we are a group of people who are educators, and what do we all expect from our own students? That they are willing to change. And that's common practice. Like I'm trying to train students to become more able to identify things about themselves and address them and change them. And if we expect that from the students we teach, we have to expect that from ourselves.
Yes. And like that's the thing, like we shouldn't just be teaching them how to drum, move, whatever. We gotta teach them to be better human beings. Like if you could treat them like a human being, they're gonna go out in that world. Like I treat them like they my kids, my little. I always say that y'all my little brothers and sisters, or little nephews and nieces. Like you gotta treat them like family. You gotta treat them like so they go out there, they feel that love, and they go out there and make this world. Because it's not gonna be taken by one person that's gonna change the world. Like all of us gotta change this. Like we all gotta stop being so aggressive and mean about things and like why didn't I get whatever. It's like we all gotta work together to get to some kind of common goal because I feel like the human race we still I always think about that. I always think to myself like what is our common goal here? What are we really doing here? Like is it just always about money all the time? Like what are we really here? What are we trying to change here? Because like honestly the earth doesn't need us to stay alive. You know, the earth really doesn't need human beings to be around here at all. Like they could use the regular animal. I always watch animals like squirrels when you're walking around. Like, man, they're not fighting each other. They're not trying to kill. I want that and that, but they're not like trying to kill each other as a species. You don't see like, oh man, I'm gonna kill. You don't see like you see them always together. You know, and as us, we're just a violent species for I don't know why we teach that on ourselves, and it's hard. It's hard out there. We might not see it in this generation, but I always think you can't just think about like I always want to tell parents like don't think about what you could give your kid now. Like don't say, oh man, like I didn't have this as a kid, so I want to give my opinion. No, you gotta pass down something for them to have when they're your age as an adult, you know, because they're basically going to go through the same thing because it's just basically a little you, and you want to give them something so they can become better people, better persons, have something. They're not just trying to make it, you know, they're already there. Now they can put their own style into it, you know, and that's one of my biggest things. Like we got to be better human beings. We got to more look out for love than just hate all the time. And I've seen it with all types of cultures, and it's just sad. It's really is sad.
I agree, man. And I think that I was very lucky, you know, to be taught by you, you know, way back when. We're coming up on 15 years maybe where we first connected. Yes. I know, I can't believe it. And, you know, there's no question that I wouldn't be here or have accomplished any of the things that I did if it weren't for you mentoring me and motivating me and teaching me how to care about the things that you care about, you know. And I myself got into that like visual choreography niche, and there's zero question that I certainly wouldn't have done that without having been influenced by you early on. So we are a testament to what what can happen when you build these relationships, across bridges. Yeah, we're not exactly the same. We're different. We're different people. We have different backgrounds, but I probably learned more from you because of that. And I think that's extremely valuable. And I've got to give you massive credit for what you gave to me all the way back then, even though, I could be, the imperfect student at times or whatever, we can talk off the air about those things, but, you gave me the tools to then succeed. You know what I mean? And that's because your values were intact and you were teaching for the right reasons. So I can't thank you enough for that, man, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you, man. I never forget that. And, I just thank you for getting on here and speaking your mind about what's going on right now. And I think it's important, to hear you talk about this. So it's really appreciated. I just love talking.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you reaching out to me through this. It's been great. Like this past 2 years, it's been a big change. Like I've been forgiving more, gigs, and I'm not saying it's always been bad. For the most part of my career, it's been pretty good. But you want to be at a certain level. No, everybody wants to be at a certain level, be at that top level, be known and stuff like. And it's just been a long time coming. Like I've been doing this for so long, and it's like, when do I get a shot? Or when like somebody else like me that looks like gets a shot to give me a shot, you know what I'm saying, to show what's going on in my head. Like I like showing what's going on in my head, and then you look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, this was in my head. I don't know how this happened. And I've been getting a lot of opportunities and writing a lot of choreo over the years. And like, I don't know how I do it, you do it. We just keep creating new ideas and stuff. We've taught some of us, like, we taught students, some of the same students, worked with the same staff members, and we all agree with like, I'm like, I taught him like in high school. I was like, yeah, he taught me in high school, and everybody looks like it's funny. I go to like the Crown Lots, and y'all just, and it's cool. Like I don't expect the love to be shown or nothing. I just want to see what you're doing. I always like to tell you, like, yo, keep doing what you're doing. Be humble about it. Know that it's good. Don't get so carried away. Like, oh man, we just gotta get this so right and just gotta be perfect. I know how you drone guys get. And I'm like, yo, just chill. Take a day at a time, yo. Everybody's respecting. You see this lot filled with people. It was cool. I think we were like North Carolina, South Carolina last year. I came with a lot. And like it's funny, you have a break and you come over and like shake my head and shake my hand and say, what's up, blah, blah, blah. And the whole crowd looks like, who's this guy? And it's like, oh, and then
he's the one.
And then you have students that like, in your line that I taught, and it was like, oh my gosh. And you're like, yeah, don't tick in front of him, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. And this is like, yeah. And it's just, I just like showing love in the activity, like showing, hey, this person's good. Like, if you can't be on my staff, I'm going to recommend you to someone else, like, hey, look at that. Like, you should, like, I know this person, I can use the people I know, and somebody's trying to come up. I'm like, yo, you should reach them out, say I said something, and then maybe they'll reach out to me. And that's why I like to use my platform to help other people get where they want to go. And I think that's what it needs to be, instead of not all about me, 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 me. And that's not how we're going to grow.
I hope this platform and, this conversation can, not only put you out there, but just put these ideas out there so that they're available to people, because we don't know what we don't know. And I think it's important to spread these messages and get different voices out there, man. And I think it's been a very, very useful and just important conversation that we've had. So can't thank you enough, Austin. It's been a long time we've known each other, and it's going to be more time going forward.
I know, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, dude.